G'day everyone, welcome back to another video of the good, bad and ugly. We're here for round 4 of the 2023 AFL season. Now I am uploading this video quite literally straight after the Easter Monday game between Hawthorn and Geelong, just because I'm wanting to get this video out as early as possible. Reason why is because not only I'm bringing it out early for you people to enjoy as soon as possible, it is also I'm wanting to upload my tips on the Tuesday. So yeah, just want to space out the uploads. But yeah, in terms of round 4, we saw some terrific moments. Very long round 2, so we'll be going over all of that with another cracking video of the good, bad and ugly. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're going to enjoy, and let's get straight into it. Okay, we'll kick it off with the 3 goods as we always do in each video, and for me, I've got to start off with probably the game of the round. And speaking of the winners, Port Adelaide, it was truly a resilient win. Now, I know there's a lot of Port Adelaide fans that are going to be fuming that, oh no, Port Adelaide win, that means 𝐴 𝐿 keeps his job, but I want to try and, cut the negativity, because there still is a good chunk of Port Adelaide fans that care about their team winning. That's their highest priority, and for them to have a good year. And it was, for me, probably one of the most resilient performances and wins for that for that football club. A terrific away win too. It's not easy heading to Sydney and beating them. The last time the Swans lost at home was, I think, round 8 last year. So they've now broken the drought, and it was a terrific win. Last week, it was a poor display against the Adelaide Crows that instantly put 𝐴 𝐿 under the pump. The media was putting them under the pump. Same with 𝐼𝐶 too, and they really need to head over to Sydney and somehow pick up a result. Ken swung the axe, dropping a lot of players. I think Burn Jones has dropped from the full side. Lockie Jones and also Tom Cleary being dropped, bringing in players like Jed McEntee and a second gamer, of Dylan Williams. Throughout the game, they need to show their resilience, because they had multiple times throughout that game where they were down by 30 points or 25 or 20 points, and they steered things their way. They did it, I think, around 2 times that second quarter. They kicked the multiple goals in a row, and that fourth term was something special. Charlie Dixon, I thought, had a huge game coming into the ruck for that fourth quarter and just posing himself as what he is, just a big target, a big body player that can really change a game when he is on. Speaking of another big body player that can change the game when he is on, 𝐿𝐿, probably maybe one of the best players on ground of the night. Towed up Buddy Franklin, he had a huge night. And a few other players to name. I thought Zach Butters was going 100%, showing hard all night. Dersma along a wing was fantastic. And of course, the star of the show, Jeremy Finlayson. The stuff he's been through with his wife and family, and for him to come out and probably be the match winner. Of course, he was actually kicking that goal late and kicking 3 goals. It just shows resilience. Throughout all the things Port Adelaide have been through the past week, some star performances, it was a terrific win for them, displayed by some terrific resilience. Moving to my next good now, and we're on to the Saints. They are now 4-0, and for me, what I see in this team now is there are some A-graders blossoming. The big question I had, and so had a lot of footy fans at the start of the year, was, do the Saints have enough A-graders to really push into finals and possibly make a threat? Maybe that still is a question, but from what we've seen so far, I think on their list alone, we're starting to see some A-graders. 2 ones that really point out for me is 𝐴 𝐿𝐞 down back and Mitch Owens up forward. 𝐴 𝐿𝐞, he made the All-Australian squad last year. He had a really underrated year as sort of that intercepting defender, but now he's really posing himself as possibly a lock for the 22 All-Australian side. I think from watching him, his intercepting abilities is superb, and he just reads the drop zone of where the ball is going to so well. So he leaves his man at the right time to make the intercept mark. He's a good user of it too. He's having a fantastic year, and you've got young players now really rising through. Caminiti is one that is having a fantastic year, but I think Mitch Owens has really good potential and is blossoming into an A-grader. He sort of is playing like an undersized key forward at the moment, but he's just doing everything. He's pushing high up the ground. He's being a playmaker. He's being out the back for a nice goal, and he's kicking fantastic goals himself. He's just doing everything at the moment. Just the general ability he offers is superb. But really looking at a few of their players at the moment, I mean, Jack Higgins, he could be another A-grader that's blossoming this year. He's kicked 9 goals in 2 games. Maybe I'm saying this a bit prematurely, but from what we've seen, a few individual performers at the moment, they are pretty much game changers at the moment, and point of difference is that translates to A-graders, and that's what the Saints need to really push into finals and maybe even make a threat in September. This could all be premature, but the first 4 wins, I know it hasn't been against maybe any top 4, top 6 quality teams, but it has to be said, because they have some seriously good potential and a few individual plays too. For my final good of this video today, I'm going with the Brisbane Lions. They're just going to be hard to beat at home. this is going to be probably a fortress this year because they've knocked off probably two of the best teams in the competition at the moment. The Melbourne Demons convincingly, pretty much. And the Pies, I still think convincingly as well. If they can knock off the best two teams in the competition at home, do they not lose at the Gabba this year? This could seriously be their sort of point of difference from making a threat maybe down the line or finish really well in the home away season. And if they get two home finals in September, they could honestly make a grand final. It's going to be huge for them this year. They just play their brand so well at home. This is why I did tip the Lions over the Pies last week. I just think at home, they just seem to get their clearance game so well. And their forward half clicks so well too. They are high scoring juggernaut, the Brisbane Lions, when they are on, and they've shown that twice now at home against the D's, and especially against the Pies. Charlie Cameron going off, Cam Rayner in the forward half was magnificent too. Hipwood and also Danaher, they were showing enough output and contribution towards the Brisbane Lions win. They just seem to get things clicking every time they play at home at the moment, and yeah, they just get their brand working there. They're going to be so hard to beat at home this year. They've knocked off two of the best teams at the moment. Could they go undefeated at home for the rest of the year? But they're awesome, of course, against the Pies on top of that too. Moving on now to the three bads in this video today. I'll kick it off with the Richmond Tigers, and I just think their inefficiency is costing them games at the moment. The start to the year has probably been a bit underwhelming. They've only got the one win, the one draw, and of course now the two losses, and a loss that has gone begging for them against the Bulldogs on the weekend. Their style, of course, is that high pressure, repeated entry sort of stuff, locking in their forward half. I think that alone has been okay, but for me, the problem is just the inefficiency in the forward half. That is costing them wins at the moment, because if you do look at the numbers, they are quite a decent inside 50 side. They usually win the differential, they usually win the count, but then if you go onto their scoring shots per inside 50, their goals per inside 50, they're 14th for goals per inside 50, 17th for scoring shots per inside 50, and 16th for shots at goal per inside 50. So I just think the inside 50 use at the moment for them has just been quite poor. Now, of course, Tom Lynch is going down with injury. He's going to have surgery, also heading to the tribunal as well. Where are their key position posts? Where are their target man going to be at the moment? Does Soldo come in? Maybe does Boltus shift forward now? It's going to be huge on Samson Ryan to get things going for them. But at the same time, the Tigers still have a bit of that upside. They still show upside because they get those repeated entries. Shea Bolt can change a game. He did in that second quarter against the Bulldogs. But the problem arises for the Tigers is just their failure to really put on scoreboard pressure with the inside 50s they do get. It's costing them games at the moment, and potentially this could be a bit of a concern for them heading down the track. But just something that I've noticed the past few weeks, and especially in their loss against the Bulldogs, I think it really did hurt them. Moving on now to the next bad, and we're going with the Gold Coast Suns. We asked the question, is unfortunately another poor season ahead for this football club that is yet to reach finals once in their whole lifespan of being in the AFL. It was another disappointing display against St Kilda. They started off well, but then they just couldn't keep up the intensity as St Kilda just simply ran rings around them. Now, it is quite a bit of an interesting one when you look at the Suns, because on the upside, they are the best clearance team in the competition. The best clearance team. I think their midfield has been okay. They're pretty strong in the contested game too. So contest, clearance game, the best in the comp. What is going on with them? How come they're playing such poor games and poor performances at the moment? And for me, I think their problem at the moment is just their ball use and their failure to defend well off the turnover. St Kilda were just far too easily allowed to transition the ball end to end. And another huge thing, of course, is their kick efficiency, and they turn the ball over too much. They're getting the clearances, they're doing well in the contest, but they're just failing to really hit up targets that well. I think the forward half use has been a bit sloppy, and just around the ground, they just turn over the ball too much. Kicking hasn't been so hot either. That's probably where the problem arises for the Suns at the moment. Down forward, I think Ben King has been a little bit on and off. He's gotten an odd goal here or there, but maybe he needs a rest or something, because I don't think physically he looks up to it at the moment. Just in general, I don't think they are getting enough output from their role plays, because there's just some players that are playing well, but then there's other players that are just playing subpar. That's probably just where the problems are at the moment for the Suns, but it's just another disappointing loss away from home. I don't know when things are going to change. I just think they need to be neater with their ball use, especially going forward, and of course, just try and limit those turnovers. It just continues to possibly be another poor year for them if this continues. Moving on now to the final bad of the video, and we're moving now onto the Sydney Swans. It was a disappointing loss for them against Port Adelaide, especially as the Swans, myself. Bit of a heartbreaker, but the buddy-centric is an issue at the moment. So far this year, as a whole, I don't think it's been such a huge issue. But from watching the game against Port Adelaide, it is seriously now a concern. Because I just think the tools that the Swans have at the moment, 𝐼𝐻𝐪, Logan McDonald, so far this year, they've been good. They've shown promise. I know 𝐼𝐻𝐪 failed to really capitalise last week and this week, but he has the athleticism. But he's just the big problem at the moment. And from their loss on the weekend, he was a liability. He couldn't get anything going. He was towed up by a fantastic 𝘼𝐻𝐪 who performed superbly. Missed a goal, of course, pretty much directly in front to extend the Swans' lead at three-quarter time. There's just problems now. And the Swans were pretty ugly with their inside 50 use. That's not usually like them. They just kept on bombing the ball towards Buddy's direction. Last week, they did a little bit of it too. I just think now Buddy's got to have a rest. He should be dropped, should have the rest against the Tigers, and you've got to have McDonald, and you've got to have 𝐼𝐻𝐪 be sort of a bit more isolated and let them roam free, because they're the future at the moment. When Buddy doesn't play, they, from what history tells, they play good. I'm pretty sure at the moment, Logan McDonald is Sydney's highest goal scorer at the moment. So why not drop Buddy for a bit, isolate him, and just let Logan McDonald blossom with 𝐼𝐻𝐪 or with McLean supporting as well. But yeah, the Buddy-centric, it's an issue at the moment, and certainly was a huge one to look at from round 4. We'll move on to the 3 uglies now. I've got another Sydney Swans one now. I'm not trying to make this a Swans central show because I'm a Swans fan, but this does need to be addressed. The Paddy McCartin concussion is a concerning one and a frightening one to look at from the weekend. Now, another concussion from Paddy McCartin. I just think now this could be the end for him. I hate to say it, but just multiple concussions throughout his career. Another one on the weekend. And the thing that I notice as well is if you look at the impact from Paddy McCartin's concussion on the weekend, it wasn't like a huge knock or anything. It just was a graze in the turf. You know, he just gradually face planted in the turf. You know, from looking at it, it didn't look like a high impact sort of concussion, but from how he was so groggy and so dazed from that incident there, you think, hey, you know, the concussion history, how he gets so groggy and dazed from that, it's concerning. And I think he needs to put his health over his football. He's got to look at the future. It's more to just footy. You know, it is your life. I think he's probably done and should hang them up if he is not cleared by doctors. For me, Paddy McCartin's concussion, I think for multiple fans across, neutral fans across the country, it is a poor thing to see. It's a saddening thing to see, but this could potentially be the end for Paddy McCartin, and he needs to put his health ahead of his football and probably maybe do the right thing if he cannot recover from this concussion again. Now for the next ugly of the video, we're going with the Freo Dockers, and from their putrid loss, pretty much putrid loss against Adelaide on the weekend, we now ask the questions, is there now dangers of them being a bottom 4 side? Because they are generally looking like that at the moment. They haven't really shown anything too much to scream about. Of course, their win was pretty cool. You know, they were great with their ball movement against West Coast, but that was a depleted West Coast side. I think they only had, well, I don't think they had any rotations. They had multiple injuries, so it was an expected win. But just another poor loss against Adelaide. For me, their problems at the moment is just their forward line. I was always bullish, not necessarily in a death-riding way, but just sort of confident in my reasonings that Freo were going to miss finals this year because their forward line is just a mess. It really is. You know, Nat Fyfe, again injured and inconsistent. The patterns they run and the leads they have, they're poor inside 50 use as well. I think they're ranked last at the moment with scoring shots per inside 50. They can't generate score. And I seriously wonder how many times are they going to hit 100 points this year. Of course, it was a given against West Coast, but when games really matter and when games they really need to win, are they going to put on enough scoreboard pressure? That is just the big concern. Their forward line as a whole at the moment, they don't get enough scores per entries. And on the backside as well, their defence is being shaky. They were known for their strong defence last year, but they just simply allowed Adelaide to waltz in with inside 50s. They couldn't contain their forwards, and they were kicking goals for fun, especially on the transition as well. So it's a bit of a worrying thing at the moment. I think a few of the high star players in that team, I mean, Brayshaw, he's been okay so far. I think Sarong has had a really nice start to the year, but I think Rory Lobb has really hurt them. Griffin Logue as well has hurt them with a bit of help down back for Brennan Cox and Alex Pearce. It's concerning for Fremantle at the moment, just in general. They're just not a good team to watch at the moment. Their ball movement, again, a lot of chip mark. They try to control the game too much. They need to be bold. That's probably where they need to first fix things, but it's ugly at the moment for the Dockers. They're seriously at this rate a good chance from really sinking low on the ladder and being a contender for a bottom 4 team in 2023. And for the final ugly of the video, a bit of a comedic one. Now, this is a chance for everyone to point the finger and laugh at me as a Swans fan. Another Swans one, but, you know, it's a bit funny. Don't celebrate too early. That is the story. I'm looking at you, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼, fans, including myself, the stadium, Callum Mills on the line as well. It's a bit of a rant. Oh, dearie me. 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼 kick after the siren. It looked good. The camera angles, it looks like it was going to go through. You had Callum Mills. He should have been blocking earlier on the line. He's going forward and celebrating. It's all dramas. The Swans are going to win. It falls short. Mills is out of his way, too busy celebrating, not blocking 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼, comes through and saves the day. And it's just another bit of a comedy of errors to add on to, sort of adding on to Hayden Ballantyne of 2011. Florence celebrating, everyone celebrating, myself celebrating as well, but then falling short. So it seriously was a bit of an ugly. Do not celebrate too early. And yeah, it was, again, another poor loss from the Swans that, you know, it does hurt them probably in the future now. But 2-2, they've got some hard games coming up, but yeah, the whole thing is it's a game that they've now dropped where they probably should have won in the end. But don't celebrate too early. It's just a classic saying in sports. And yeah, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼, Callum Mills, I'd love to have that moment back of celebrating too early. So everyone, there was another video of the good, bad and ugly for round 4 of the 2023 AFL season. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That'd be much appreciated. And until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later, fellas.